Hello everyone, this is Peter Online Computer Network Engineering tutorial. I'm here to take you on the configuration of Etherchannel. Okay, you can see these are three switches. Okay, this is the root switch and these are non-root switches. Okay, so now I'm going to configure two types of Etherchannel protocols here, ranging from this is link aggregation control protocol, which is the industry standard of Etherchannel, industry standard, which IEEE Etherchannel 802.3AD, and port aggregation protocol. This is Cisco proprietary. Cisco designed this to be configured between Cisco switches. Okay, you can see the links. I'm going to bundle about three physical interfaces on each switch. And these interfaces are gigabit interfaces, which means that these are, gigabit Ethernet switches that runs, each port runs at a speed of 1 gigabit, per second speed. Now I'm going to bundle the three on each. Okay, so with this industry standard Etherchannel, one side of the switch must be active and one side must be passive, okay, to form Etherchannel link. And you can see we have about three links here, three different links, and each one comes in different, you configure it on different numbers, okay? So now I'll start from here without wasting time. You can see my gigabit interfaces. I'll start from this switch. Hope you're watching. This is switch, user mode, enable, you hit enter to come to this is switch, okay, privilege mode, okay, privilege mode where you put configure terminal or config T for short. You hit enter, you are now in global configuration mode. Now interface range, interface range on these interfaces. You have an interface about 3 ports. That is gigabit 0/1 to 3. You hit enter. Now you are now in an interface configuration mode. That is interface if. Okay? Where you put channel group 1 mode. I'll put those in group 1. This link is in group 1. In group 1 mode, active. This is active here. Active. You hit enter. Okay? You hit enter. So you now exit and save your configuration, put end and come back to privilege mode. Sorry, and come back to privilege mode where you put copy run start. Yes, you have saved your configuration to NVRAM. Now you come back to this switch. Let's say we are on this switch now, where you put, the same thing here. Enable, you come to global configuration mode. When you have entered this from privilege mode, config 2, you're in global configuration mode, where you put interface range GO/1 to 3. You hit enter. You're now in interface configuration mode, interface if. Now you put channel group 1 mode, passive. One side is active and one side is passive. You hit enter, you put exit to come back to privilege mode and put copy run start. Okay. Now you have configured this to be group 1, but the configuration is yet to be done. Let's come back. Let me clean this so that I can see what I'm doing. Remember, I configured this to be active and this to be passive. Now we have port 1, port channel 1, because we configured these interfaces, this that is on group 1, this link. Now, let's say you have come to global configuration mode on this switch. You want to configure trunk. I want to make this a layer 2 Etherchannel configuration, right? So now you need to do this interface port channel 1. You hit enter. This is a multi-layer switch. You need to do this. You are now in port interface configuration mode, the Etherchannel port configuration mode. You do this, switch port trunk encapsulation. Dot 1Q. Remember this trunking protocol. You hit enter, you come back and say switch port mode, trunk. So this Etherchannel link, you have configured layer 2 Etherchannel, protocol. So now you use the same method to configure this, but remember here will be, okay, let me do it so that I don't want you to get confused. Let's say I'm on interface configuration, I'm in global configuration mode on this. Now channel, okay, interface range, GO/123. Okay, you hit enter. Now you hit enter. You're now in interface configuration mode, interface if. Okay, where you put channel group 2 mode. Okay, active. Okay, you come here, you do the same thing. Channel, let's say you are now in this switch interface configuration mode. In this switch now, please don't get me wrong. I'm now in this switch. I've configured channel group 2 on this link, on this switch. Let me say, without wasting time, I'm on this switch global configuration mode now, where I do interface range GO/123. You hit enter. You are now in what? Interface configuration mode, where you do channel group 2 mode, passive instead of active. Passive. This link here is active. This is passive. Now let's create trunk on this interface, on this link. Let's create trunk the same way I created trunk on this link. This is global configuration mode. We are even interface channel port channel 2. Sorry, interface port channel 2. Interface port channel 2, because it's channel 2 now. You now do this, you hit enter. Okay, you are now in port channel interface, switch port trunk encapsulation. Dot 1Q. This is IEE standard of trunking protocol. You hit enter, it now says switch port mode trunk. You hit enter. I have created trunk on this switch too. Do you know why you put this switch port trunk encapsulation? Because you are using multi-layer switch. On multi-layer switch, you must enable switch port trunk encapsulation. But if it is access switch, you don't need to put this switch port trunk encapsulation. You just go ahead and enable switch port mode trunk. Okay. So now you can see the way I configure this. Use that to configure this link. And remember, it has to be on group 3. That is channel group 3 mode active. Channel group 3 mode active here and channel group 3 mode passive here. You go back to global configuration mode and configure interface port channel 3, switch port trunk encapsulation. Of course, I know you understand. So now let's configure the Cisco. There's no too much different. The only difference is you configure one side of, with this Cisco proprietary, you configure one side here desirable and the other part is auto so that it will negotiate the Etherchannel, this. So that is the way to configure this. So when you configure, port channel group 1 mode active, automatically you have enabled the IEE standard of Etherchannel protocol. But when you configure this to be desirable, just like this, okay, let me interface this, interface range, okay, GO/123, you hit enter, you now said, okay, channel group 1 mode, desirable. Okay, you hit enter. The other end, you put channel group 1 mode auto. The other end, channel group 1 mode auto. So by doing this, you have enabled this. So all you need to do, let's say we have finished configuration of this. Look at what you need to do from your privilege mode. After saving your configuration, this is switch. This is switch privilege mode. You do this show, show Etherchannel summary. You hit enter. You are going to see that you configured, whether you configured this or this, you see the protocol. Okay. Now you see this protocol that you have configured, Etherchannel protocol on port 1. You see the port 1, you see, group 1, you see group 2, you see group 3, but on this protocol. Now there's another show Etherchannel port channel Etherchannel. You hit enter. You will now see the summary of what you have configured. That's the analysis of what you configure. What you will see there is you see one side. If it is this switch, you see it to be active or desirable. Okay, if it's on the switch you configure desirable, you see it to be auto or passive. If you have configured passive or auto, you see it there. So if you have packet tracer running in your system, try the same configuration. And don't bother, we will do configuration. I'm still promising you, but because we are going to do hands-on lab when the time comes. Thank you and see you in the next tutorial. If you like this video, go ahead and share. Thank you and see you in the next tutorial.